Good morning, everybody. Thanks for jumping on Zoom with us here. If you don't know me, my name is Tom Rinaldi. I'm one of the sales guys here at Brody. First of all, I'd like to apologize for my dog barks. Not my fault. Sometimes he gets rowdy. There's also construction right outside my window, so if you hear some feedback, just let me know.
You gotta apologize for that shirt.
Oh, come on. You got to keep it formal here, working from the home office. So this is, as you can tell by my shirt, very, very informal. If you guys have questions, shout them out. If you want to kind of go off topic, I only have about 20 slides, so feel free to use this time however you see, pertinent. We also have on here, I saw Greg and Frank, our engineers, so they can handle technical questions and such that I most certainly cannot. So I'm going to get rolling with some slides. So can everybody see that Brody Precision slide there? Anyone?
Looks good. Looks good.
All right, there we go. So the purpose of today, right, we're going to go through the beginning. I kind of call it Controls 101 because doing these presentations, you never really know where everyone is at expertise-wise. So the beginning, it's going to be way underneath a lot of you. Apologize for that, but just try to get some base level, real quick stuff out of the way just so that when we get later on in the slideshow, everyone knows what's going on. Everybody can understand what we're talking about. I don't want to end up down the road and have somebody not understanding a pivotal point from the beginning. So we'll go through that stuff. We're going to dive into some industry update, where the industry is going. And then also at the end, we'll finish up with some of the Tritium stuff that's going on, moving from AX to N4. So again, if you have questions, comments, anything like that, please shout it out. So we're going to start off just defining some stuff, real simple stuff again. So in our dictionary, so we have something called a protocol. Protocol is nothing more than a communication language between two things, right? So two controllers out there in the space, they have to talk to each other to share information, pass information along. They do that via a protocol like BACnet or LAN or Modbus. This is no more than a language. So they speak a certain language. A BACnet communicating controller cannot talk LAN, something like that. JACE, everybody knows this, Java Application Control Engine. This is our traffic cop. It is basically a computer that takes in a bunch of information from a bunch of different places, spits out pretty pictures, and sends out alarms via email, sends out trends via email, all that fun stuff. BMS, just short for Building Management System. We also have BAS, Building Automation System. There's a ton of three-letter acronyms that revolve around our world. A driver, so driver, same as when you put a printer on your computer, you have to install the driver. So it is no more than a software package allowing different protocols. So you take your computer, you plug in your printer, you download the driver that allows it to speak the language that the printer wants to talk so you can print stuff out. API. An API is a communication method between various software components, so mostly between two different brands. So this is how you can control your Honeywell thermostat through your Amazon Alexa, for instance. Both of those companies have an open API. They are allowed to share information between each other. Industry buzzwords. A lot of this stuff flies around, so it's important to get it straight, that it's kind of muddied at times. So open versus proprietary protocol. Okay, so an open protocol is nothing more than a language that multiple different brands can speak. Okay, so BACnet, for instance, or LAN. A lot of different manufacturers use this protocol, so it is considered open. It is just a third-party communication language that you can take in and use in your controllers. A proprietary protocol is something that only one manufacturer can speak. So take Johnson N2, for instance. Only Johnson N2 devices can speak that language. You can't take a Honeywell controller, put it on that same bus and expect it to communicate. Proprietary versus non-proprietary software and hardware. So we're getting a little bit further down the rabbit hole here. Proprietary software and hardware is software and hardware that only one manufacturer or company or some representative can work on, can install, can purchase. Okay, so only one. Take, for instance, again, Johnson Branch or Honeywell Branch or Siemens Branch, okay? They have proprietary software and hardware. I, as a distributor, can't purchase their stuff. For the most part, contractors also can't purchase their stuff. It has to come from a sole source. Non-proprietary software and hardware, that's the world that we live in. So we are a distributor for non-proprietary software and hardware companies. So basically any Tritium, any Webs, any Johnson FX, anything like that. Multiple distributors can have it, multiple contractors can have it. Therefore, it is non-proprietary. Multiple people have it in given areas. The last one's the tricky one. So non-proprietary versus open protocol. So I have the branch operations are getting smarter. For a while, the branch operation was kind of falling to the side because most building owners were getting smart and they were saying, hey, I don't want to be tethered to one company. I don't want to have to use ABC branch to service my stuff just because they're the only ones that technically can. So branch operations, again, they're getting smart and they're saying, no, we are open protocol. We're open protocol. We use BACnet, okay? That is true. BACnet is an open protocol. Any different brand can use BACnet or any other open protocol. But the difference is that they're still considered non-proprietary because they're the only ones that can purchase the software and the hardware, have the tools to work on the controllers. Okay, so they will push to end users, hey, this is BACnet. It is open. Anyone can talk BACnet. They are correct on that, but they're leaving off the other part that all of the parts and all of the smarts still has to come from them. Any questions on that? All right, so a little more on that. So branch type and independent contractor. So branch operations, they are proprietary, they're sole source. They're sole source for service, meaning their guys have the tools to work on it. And there is minimal training available. If you would like to go get training on Honeywell, Comfort Point stuff, it's going to be pretty hard for them to let you in there. Independent contractor, we're pretty much the opposite. That's our world. Open and non-proprietary. We have many sources for purchase, both on the distributor level and a contractor level. Many choices for service and a ton of options for training. You can just go on YouTube or you can go on Tritium, website, wherever. Okay, so there is certainly some muddy water, some gray area in this. I put this slide in here just to kind of show how confusing it can be from an end user's aspect and how we can show where we stand versus some of the branch type operations. So for instance, if you look all the way on the left there, Honeywell Branch, Johnson Branch, Trane, those guys, they are pretty much sole source, meaning that the control lines that they install can only be purchased and worked on by their guys. It is very hard for us or for one of our contractors to go and buy this product. There are certainly exceptions to this, but for the most part, that's how it is. If you look all the way over on the right, that's us. Okay, so these are lines that we distribute. These are open protocol lines, non-proprietary lines, meaning that if a new contractor wants to come and they want to use Honeywell Webs, they can do that. Now there's some training, there's some sign up, there's a lot that goes into it, but technically there is nothing stopping someone from saying, yeah, I want to work on this product. In the middle, there's the confusing ones. Sometimes there are multiple of these in an area, so it's not necessarily sole source. Maybe there's two in the area, American Automatrix, Carrier CCN, some guys use that, but then also the Carrier branch uses that. So those are kind of distributed in the middle there in a variety of ways. Okay, so Tritium, this is one of those slides where it's very, very simple, but it took me a while to fully grasp this and understand it for myself. So Tritium is nothing more than the name of a company, okay? That is the name of the company. You'll hear, oh, the Tritium software and the Tritium this and the Tritium that. Tritium is just the name of a company. That's all it is, okay? They do two things. They make the software that is currently called Niagara 4, and they make a hardware that is currently called a Jace 8000. That is them right there. So the software gets put on that Jace right there. And again, the Jace is nothing more than a computer, a platform, a traffic cop, whatever you want to call it, that you put this Niagara 4 software on it, and it allows you to look at stuff, schedule stuff, set up different trends, that type of thing. I'm sure we all semi know that. So from there, the company Tritium takes their software Niagara 4 and their hardware Jace 8000 and OEMs it to just about everybody under the sun at this point. So here you have 4 example Jaces. You know, you have a Johnson one, Honeywell, Vicon one. So these Jaces right here come from Tritium, the company. They make their software, they make their hardware, they sell it to another company like Honeywell, for instance. Honeywell puts their red clip on it. Honeywell adds a little bit to the software workbench. And then here you go, here's your Honeywell Jace. Okay, so yes, it is made by the company Tritium. Yes, it does run Niagara 4, but it is a Honeywell Webs, in that case, Jace. This is a super busy, very old slide, but sometimes it just allows people to see what the Niagara platform can do. It is more than just an HVAC controller. It truly is just a computer, an open platform where you can bring in different things via these dotted lines here, all protocols, right? They're all languages that it's speaking to different stuff, taking information, sharing information. Okay, so some of the update stuff, protocol-wise, all the way on the left there is kind of the past generation type stuff. A lot of that is the older non-open protocols. So you have like N2 and CNAP and CBus. Those are some examples of older ones. You know, as we went down the line, we had Modbus, we had LAN. BACnet is currently the hot thing. You see it in every spec. You see it all over the place. It is another buzzword. Engineers know it, end users know it, everybody knows it. A lot of people don't know what it is though. As we continue on down that path, you have BACnet IP, you have Ethernet protocols, and then you have Wi-Fi protocols. So everything seems to be trending that way. Whereas a lot of manufacturers are not putting their money into developing new LAN controllers. They're putting a lot of money into developing new Ethernet and Wi-Fi controllers. Usually when you follow the money, you'll kind of see where the industry is going. So, okay, so existing BAS architecture. So this is how it is right now and for a while in the past. You would have a couple different layers. So down all the way at the bottom there where you see some spiders, some Johnson controllers, etc. That would be the controller level, right? So that's the actual thing on your VAV box, on your air handling unit, on your boilers, turning stuff on and off, reading temperatures, scheduling, doing that type of thing. They talk to each other via whatever protocol, BACnet, LAN, Zigbee, whatever it is. These controllers, they have no access to the internet themselves, right? So they just do their thing. Some of them have time clocks, some of them don't. They just turn stuff on and off. They would then go up to a Jace, which is that traffic cop that looks at all of these different controllers and it can schedule them. It can make pictures for them so that the building operator can see it. It can allow them a portal to log in and turn things on and off, test stuff, you know, whatever they need to do. It basically makes the little controllers out there in the field that are working units, makes them visual in one spot for the building operator. Okay, so that's kind of the second level. It's the Jace level. When you have multiple Jaces in an area, you don't want to have to log into, in this case, 4 different computers, say, to look at, oh yeah, I'm on the 3rd floor, so I got to log into this one over here. What you do is you bring all of them into what's called a supervisor. A supervisor is the traffic cop for the traffic cop, so that's the top guy. He looks at all the Jaces. You can put your graphics there. You can put a lot of information there, and it just makes it an easier spot when you have multiple Jaces to log into and to see all the info that you may need. If you look, good point here. Again, most of you guys probably know all this, but all the way on the right where I have the KMC Jace there, I have a 3rd-party driver. So let's think about that. A driver is just a language that a controller speaks. A third-party driver is usually one of those non-open protocols, one of those proprietary ones. So you can take a Jace and you can put the Johnson N2 driver on it, which is a software package that now allows it to speak the language of N2. And you can integrate N2 controllers. And with that, you can make pictures of them. You can schedule them. You will not, in most cases, be able to actually change the program in those controllers, but you can look at them. So it's a good thing to know if you walk into a building that's all old Train or Carrier or N2 or Automatrix, and your customer is asking you to price up, okay, I need something different. I can't stand how my guys have to log into this, have to do this every morning or do that every night, whatever it is. Instead of saying, okay, well, my controllers can't speak this language, we have to take them all out, which could be a building full. You can handle what he really cares about, which is the pictures. So you can say, okay, I can use my Jace, I can use this driver over here, I can talk to the stuff, and I can get you kind of a first step, and I can also get my foot in the door. And then from there, you can develop a path forward of how to cross this over into, whatever system you may please. So again, that's existing. That's how it has been with some of the older communication protocols and some of the older technologies out there, but this is still going to be the thing for a while. But again, the point of this slideshow is to kind of show where we're headed. So the big thing now is IP. Okay, why are we going the IP route? Why is every brand, every single one of them, putting money into Ethernet controllers, Ethernet-based systems, and getting more into the IT world? There's a couple reasons. Big one would be security. So this is a kind of a hot point that we'll cover in another slide, but security, for the most part, you don't have to argue this right now, you can argue it again in a couple slides. Ethernet systems, IP systems will be more secure than our current MSTP systems. Again, we'll touch on that, so leave that one for now. Some other ones you can't really argue: speed. Honeywell claims that their Ethernet controllers are 1,000 times faster than their MSTP controllers. It's pretty hard to fathom, pretty hard to understand. Basically what it boils down to in my mind is if you have a building that has a couple hundred VAV controllers and you push download, instead of taking 30 minutes to an hour, it takes maybe a minute or two. That's money savings right there in my mind. That is dollars on a job that you can download controllers. Not necessarily okay, yeah, my damper's in this position, I knew that in a split second. That, not really too important. Some of the other stuff, the power itself, so the computing power, a lot of these new controllers are coming out with much bigger CPUs, allowing them to handle much more. They can do a lot of what before took 2 layers, the controller level and the Jace layer, they can now do it themselves. With that, they're closer to the internet. That is the little world icon there with the hand clicking. They're closer to the internet because they are IP controllers. So you're technically eliminating that level of that gateway, that Jace that's getting it out to the internet. So maybe this is what it's going to look like. Flattened is a big hot word that a lot of manufacturers are using, flattened architecture. So what does that really mean? It just means whereas before we had a controller level, and then we had a Jace level, and then we had a supervisor level. Now maybe we only have one level in the building. So we have all of these IP Ethernet communicating controllers. They are out there in the space. They're turning stuff on and off, but they are also doing their own management. So they're doing kind of what the Jace does as well. From there, since most of them have switches built into them, they are Ethernet communicating. You bring them into basically your own network, and then you put that network, there's 100 different ways to do this, and we'll get into that, out into the internet somehow. So for instance, here we have this flat level down at the bottom. We are going through a VPN up to an Amazon web server where maybe we have a Honeywell supervisor sitting. So now that Jace level has been taken out. There is some cost savings to this in certain situations. Certain situations it's a wash because the Ethernet controllers are a little bit more money. So again, we're not really at this step yet, but this is where it is going. And it would behoove all of us to kind of jump on board because every manufacturer is pushing this way. So this is kind of where it may end up. It may end up looking a little different, but for the most part, handful of years from now, you will have Ethernet controllers in this space, and then you'll be going up to something in the cloud running your supervisory software of sorts. Any questions? All right. So, like I said, we're going to argue this, right? So the first thing that pops in people's head is no way IT department will never, ever let me put a VAV controller on their Ethernet backbone, on their network. I hear you, I agree with you, but that thought process is changing as well. A lot of the forward-thinking IT people that are getting out there now in the space would rather have you on their network than not have you on their network via an MSTP bus that's somewhere out in the building and they don't know what it is. That is where it's heading. I agree that there's still a lot of the old school IT people out there that want nothing to do with this, but it is heading that way. It's trending that way that people want you on their network. Now, how they're on your network, it's a whole nother story, but just know that that thought process definitely is changing. The other thing is now we are not opening up ports on our system. We are not exposing them. We are not having to do port forwarding anymore. There are other ways such as VPNs that we're going to get into. But that right there, the port forwarding thing is a big open hole in networks, and that can kind of give us a black eye on the HVAC world. There's also SMAs. Again, we're going to get into this a little deeper in another couple slides, but in the IT world, there is a software agreement, paid for software agreement of some sort for everything. Okay, so everything in the IT world has a subscription service that you pay for that gives you software patches, that gives you updates, it gives you all of that. So the IT people are used to this, and they generally want to see this. They want to know that whatever's on their network is being upkept, is being patched for software deficiencies and such like that. The other way is to work with the IT guys, not against them. So build a preferred system. So whether that's you make your own little network and you bridge over to theirs, whatever it is, whatever's best for them, we can help with that. The last one down there, use our resources and our expertise. So that's Matt Whitmer there, if you don't know him. He is our IT networks guy. He is extremely sharp with this stuff. He speaks their language. He knows our products. He came from our engineering group, so he understands that world as well. He is a huge, huge, huge asset to you guys. And he's only going to get more important as we move forward in this IT and Ethernet world. He is kind of our bridge to the IT department. So again, he's at your disposal. He can help you with, he does a networking 101 class. He does our Tazi box training. He does a lot of that kind of stuff, and he's very important to us and also to you guys. So he's there. If you want to learn more about any of this stuff on this slide, reach out to your sales guy, reach out to me, whatever, and we can set up a webinar with Matt, or we have some of his past ones recorded. You can look at those. But again, it would behoove you to jump on board with this because it is the way it's going. So let's get some of that base level knowledge stuff that Matt's good at explaining down, so that when we do get to the point where it is that changing point where, okay, now we are in the Ethernet world, we're ready for it. So one of the other ones from the last slide was VPN. So VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. Its definition is a VPN extends a private network across a public network and enables users to send and receive data across shared or public networks as if their computing devices were directly connected to the private network. So it is no more than a bridge, right? So a VPN is a bridge or a tunnel from the outside world into an internal network in a building or whatever it is that you can access from anywhere, but it is a private encrypted tunnel. Okay, so you do not, again, need to expose ports. You do not need to do port forwarding. It is the preferred way to access systems from the outside, from an IT perspective. So you tell an IT guy that you have a VPN solution, they may vet it, they may look at it, they may know what it is. Generally, they feel a lot better when you say, I have a VPN solution to get me, remote access into your building. You don't need to open up any ports. So how that is done, our preferred choice, our preferred product is something called a Tazibox. If you guys don't know what this is, again, this is something that Matt brought to the table to us. It is phenomenal. We have had great success with it. And we have had very, very few problems with this. So a Tazibox is a VPN solution, right? It is two components. Is a lock, which you can see right there. That is a lock 150, and a key. A key is a USB stick. So what happens is your network, your controller network in a building comes back to, hits this guy right here. He goes into the internet somewhere, some way. You don't need any ports open except for outgoing ports, which commonly IT departments allow. You do that, you take your USB stick, which is your key, you plug it into this lock, you pair them. Now you take this USB stick, wherever you go in the world, if you plug this USB stick into your computer, you'll have access to that lock. Okay, so one key, one Tazibox key can have access to as many locks as you want. So you only need one key. You can have access to all the different buildings you have locks in, and then also one lock can be accessible from multiple keys. So all of your service guys in an apartment can have a Tazibox key, okay? Say your service manager or your president or whoever it is has the Tazibox master key, we'll call it. The master key is no different physically from a regular key, just another USB stick. You select it to be the master key. Point of this, when you set up a new job, you take your master key, plug it in, pair it, then you go back to your office, you plug your master key into your computer, and now you can pull up all of your service techs and you can say, all right, these 5 guys have access to this site, boom, and their key automatically has access. But these 5 guys don't have access to this site, or vice versa. So the master key decides who has access and who doesn't. For the most part, that would reside in an office drawer somewhere. Tazibox can be selectable to be either level 2 or level 3 secure. That is another thing that IT guys want to know. It is super fast and easy for setup. So it makes some assumptions as to how you would want to set it up and use it. So really, you power it up, you plug it into the network, plug your key in, wait till the light turns, and then pull it out, and you're set up and ready to go. There is also a mobile client that you can, so one key comes with a mobile client you can use on an iPad or a phone of any sort, and you can have access from your phone. Then there's also a soft key that is, it is licensed per laptop. So instead of having a physical key, you could have a soft key on your laptop. Questions, anything? Okay. So moving into the Tridium update. Over there on the left, the prior software that Tridium, that company, made was called Niagara AX. They also made some older JACEs, JACE 200, 300, 600, 700, so forth. That is the older platform software and hardware wise. We are now over here on the right with Niagara 4 and the JACE 8000. So now we're getting into kind of the big purpose of this. Why we really have to start pushing upgrades, both from AX to N4, but then also from earlier revs of N4 on up to the most recent rev of N4. So kind of two different things at play here. If you're still at AX, yes, we definitely want to get these guys up to N4, but if they are up at N4, there's still some work that needs to be done. We got to get them up to that top level of N4, which is currently 4.8. So why we want this to happen? Security is the biggest one. We want to get everyone from AX on up to N4. N4 was built with security in mind. There is a lot more in the software for security, for locking down your system, for handling all type of crappy stuff that's going on today. So that's the main goal there, security. Niagara 4 also uses HTML5, so there's no more Java running the graphics. You don't have to worry about that. It's more mobile accessible, which is fun because everybody has phones or iPads. There are newer features, and it is more modular. So whereas before there was 3 different types of JASES, now there is 1. We only stock 1, and then you license it as you go per point. So you can buy a 5 device JASE 8000, or you can buy a 200 device JASE 8000, and all these little steps in between, depending on how big your building is. So now it works really well in the small jobs, but then also works really well in the big jobs. So again, this is an argument point. A lot of people hate these things: software maintenance agreement, SMA. So what that is you buy this agreement, and for the life of it, they come in 1, 3, and 5-year options. You get all security patches, all upgrades that you may need, okay? It is extremely important to keep these SMAs up to date and live on JASES, supervisors, whatever you have. Reason being, you need to be installing these more recent revs of the software. Why is that? Because they come out with them because there was either a software security problem, there was a new bug fix, there was something, right? So in order to keep your customer's system up to date at all times, security-wise, use-wise, all of that, you have to be bringing them up to date. Same thing as your phone, right? So if a new iOS comes out that says it fixed a bug in your Apple Wallet, you're most likely going to fix that, right? Now, this is the same kind of deal, right? The only difference is here, you are paying for this. A big point in this is if you let it lapse. So if you bought a JASE 3 years ago and just bought the initial SMA, okay? Now there's been 2 years where you didn't have SMA coverage, and now you want to come up to 4.8. Now you have to pay the backfill that you missed. So you have to buy an SMA for the 2 prior years that it was uncovered. Okay, so this is where that cost starts to build up. So good practice with this is you build it into your service agreement with your contract, with your customer. You put it into their PM, which we're going to talk about. It is okay now to have a dedicated portion of your PM for the control system, putting in software patches, fixing bugs, doing whatever it needs to be. Again, this will make the IT people happier. This will make them happier knowing that there's an agreement in place where they automatically are getting this stuff and you're putting it in for them. So whether it's 2 times a year, 4 times a year, whatever it is, you're coming in and you're helping them with this. Again, a lot of people are against this because you have to pay for it because it's a reoccurring type thing, but it's just another one of those things. That's the way it's kind of all going. Even our point of sale system that we use here at Brody, we pay software maintenance. We pay it yearly and they fix everything that we need to. It's just everything is heading that way. There's really, I get the frustrations with it, but there's really no need. Nothing warrants fighting against it because it's the way it's going. Manufacturers aren't going to change their mind. And it is a revenue stream for them, but it's also a way for them to cover their butts security wise. So BAS PMs. I talk about this a lot with my customers, trying to get them to really be forward thinking and to build in a portion of their PM for the BAS keeping these SMAs up to date. It's a nice little grab for you guys. You can tell the building owner or building operator, yeah, twice a year we're going to come in and we keep your building up to date because we have this thing called an SMA and it gives me all software patches. I come in, I put them in, I change anything that needs to be changed, that sort of thing. It could be a nice little revenue stream for you guys because again, it is reoccurring. You don't have to absorb it, you can pass it along. So if you are not currently doing PMs on your BAS system, I would highly recommend sitting down with your service salespeople or your whoever it may be, and try to figure out a way to get some verbiage into your service agreements where this can become a part of it. Okay, it is highly important. It's only going to get more important as we get more into the IT world. So again, it's just one of those things. Let's jump on board now. Let's figure out how to do it now, so that when everything's on a network, we know how to handle it then. Questions, comments, anything? All right. So, okay, the final, and you may call it the biggest reason that we want to get people from AX to N4 is because AX is going away. Okay, so most of you probably know that Tritium has laid out the end of life for AX. So that means that there will be no more options to purchase it, to upgrade it, to move licenses, to do any of that. Here's Tritium's timeline for it. So I put two things in boxes that I saw the most important. One, which has happened Q1 of 2020, which is right now. The last update for 3.8 happened. Okay, so the last security update. So from here on out, if you are running a 3.8 system, it is not going to get any more software updates for security. Okay, so imagine that, a huge building in a downtown city, running 30, 40 floors, whatever it is. Their system is going to be wide open. There will be no more software patches. So that is a big, big deal when you are looking at these. And if this were to get into the hand of your end user and you never mentioned it to them, that would not be a pretty picture. Some of the other things on here, timeline that I boxed in, we got a little over a year, July 1 of 2021, where they're going to stop selling it. Okay, so you can no longer buy a Jace 8000 running AX, which means if you have a system running AX out there and a J600 dies, you do not have the option to put in an AX Jace anymore. So you will not be able to take a Jace 8000, downgrade it to AX, and put it in. Other options for AX will also no longer be sold. So updates, obviously, such like that. So this is directly from Tritium. If you guys want this, hit me up and I will send you this so that you can have it. I can make all of these slides available if needed. Questions on this? Okay, so a lot of you guys may be thinking, what the heck, you know, we don't really want to deal with this. We don't want to have to buy something new because, you know, there's no need, or the AX systems are working just fine or whatever. So Tritium actually came out with this deal. It's pretty sweet. They've done it before. You can get up to 20% off on the Jace 8000 when you are going from a legacy AX Jace. Now, if you bought that AX Jace after January 1, 2017, you get an additional 10% off. This being, you know, it's a more recent purchase. Building operator owner might say, hey, you know, I only bought this a couple years ago. Why do I have to upgrade now? They're giving you an extra little kicker for that. So this program, let's take advantage of it. Again, get with your salesperson from Brody. We can help you design some ideas behind it, how to launch it out to your customers, what words to use when talking to your customers. We can go with you to see your customers. What I recommend is that you reach out to your salesperson. You ask them to give you a list of all of your legacy sites. So I do this pretty regularly. So I will go in, ABC Contractor, Niagara Central. I will find any AX license that I can find out there that is licensed underneath ABC Contractor, and I will make a list. We sit down, we look at it, and we say, okay, XYZ building, they're running 3.6. Oh, that's, you know, Bob Smith over here. He's the building operator. Boom, let's go talk to him. Okay, line item 2 here. It just creates a target list. It shows you all of your different stuff out there. You give that to salespeople. You give that to your techs, and you say, here's your target list. Go after them. Do whatever you need to do. Let's use this program. Let's use this list. Let's use our expertise. Let's use Brody's expertise. Let's train these guys. Let's get them up to speed, and let's sell them on it. All this information, our salespeople all know about it. So if you need help navigating it or whatever, please reach out. Enterprise SMAs. So this is another thing that is semi-recent from Tritium. They, after a while of saying this would never happen, finally made this happen. If you have a site that has 5 or more licenses, so that could be 4 JASES and a supervisor, or 5 JASES or whatever, you can now get an enterprise SMA, which is now all of your licenses will fall under one SMA. So it'll fall under one expiration date. So now instead of saying, okay, Mr. Building Owner who has 10 JASES, you know, these 3 expire this year, these 6 expire next year, and this other one expired 2 years ago. Now you can say, all right, all 10 of your JASES expire next year. Here's what it costs for me to add 3 years, 5 years to it, blah, blah, blah. It makes everything simpler, cleaner. If you have more than 25 licenses, I believe, there are discounts as well. So if you have a very big building or site, more than 25, you can get a discount, and we can help you out again with that. Questions? Anything at all? That is the end of my slideshow. So if you guys want to take it in any direction, if you want to ask about anything you just saw, please do so.
Hey, Tom.
Yep.
Hey, this is Lawrence Robert. I'm getting a second.
Sorry, hold on. We got a couple people talking at once.
Is this better?
Yeah, there we go. Who do we got?
Okay. Hey, how long did AX last? And what is the expected life of Niagara 4?
AX came out in 06-ish, Greg. I believe it was somewhere around there. Maybe before 05. But there is currently no timeline for the end of N4, to answer your question. Nothing that I know of, nothing that I have seen. We are still currently on 4.8. We've seen a little bit of 4.9. From there, it's not going to jump to another new platform just because it's at 4.9. I believe they're going to continue to build it out.
They're working on 4.9. They're working on 4.10.
There we go.
Yeah.
So it's not going to get to 4.9, then have to go to like Niagara 5 or whatever. It is. I don't see an end in sight. If anyone else knows anything from Brody, please shout it out. But I don't know anything.
No, there is no Niagara 5 on the board at this point.
Cool.
They got many years of 4.
I got a chat question here. Oh, from my good friend John Thornton. I didn't know you're on here, buddy. You didn't want to ask this question out loud? You wanted to chat it? That's odd. I didn't expect that. Enterprise SMA started a couple months ago, less than 6 months maybe. It started as like an idea maybe a year and a half ago right here in Philadelphia, where the Tritium guys said, heck no, we'll never do something like that. And then about 6 months later, they said, yeah, we'll do that. So they are still generally new. The process is kind of slow and arduous. So don't think that we can just spit out a price and option for an enterprise SMA. There's some work involved. Currently, how it works, you say, okay, I want to put an SMA in ABC building. How it works right now, which we're told this may change, right now per Tritium, you have to get whoever the building operator is or somebody on site at building ABC to create an account with Tritium. And then once that happens, we can go in and we can pair all the licenses in their building or on their site with that account and work up an enterprise SMA price. As of now, though, it must be initiated by the end user on site. Reason behind that per Tritium is that there may be multiple contractors in there in a big like university type setting. So they don't want one contractor to be able to go in and say, oh, no, I own all of these licenses. I want all of them under my enterprise SMA. They leave that up to the end user to decide. Again, that might change per Tritium, but that is how it actually goes on right now.
Hey, Tom, we did a webinar with a, I'm getting back, I'm sorry. what we contract unit can use, and really is not difficult. Everybody understands procedure.
Okay, cool. There we go. So it is getting better. We did Ed and I did one of the very first ones, and I don't even know if Tritium was ready for it. So that's maybe why some of the hardship and some of the time got sucked up. But if they're refining the process, then that's awesome. That'll definitely help us. But enterprise SMAs are a big thing because there's a lot of sites out there that have 5 or more licenses. Any other questions, comments, anything? Alrighty, I did see, can we have these slides? Yes. We will get these slides out to everybody that's on here. I believe we can do that pretty easily. If you want to use any of this information and portray it out to your customers, meet with your customers, something like that, please feel free to ask us to get involved. We'll get the right people from sales, from engineering, from IT. We can make this a joint effort, and we can meet with the end user. We do this a lot, so we can definitely help you out on that. Feel free to reach out and ask. Last questions, anything else before we go our separate ways? Alrighty. Well, again, thank you guys very much. Appreciate you tuning in for 15 minutes or so here. If you have anything after this, please give us a